then roll.
1,
No,
2,
cross your arms up.
1, 2, 3.
My name is Kelsey.
And my name is Heath, and this is our story.
When I was a little girl, I was raised in a family, and we were in church. When I was around 8 years old, I got saved, I became baptized, and I was following Jesus. Around that same time, my dad decided to join the military. He got stationed to Washington, and so me and my family, we moved to Washington. We were there for about 3 years, and in August of 2005, we got the news that my dad had passed away while he was deployed. A lot of thoughts and emotions were going through my head. I thought, why? Why is this happening to us? Why my dad? Why did God do this to my family? My mom was having to raise me and my sister by herself. About a year and a half after my dad passed away, my mom got remarried to her second husband. When they got remarried, everything was okay, but we weren't in church. We had kind of fallen out. I was still angry. That was my main emotion after my dad passed away. I went through anger a lot. I channeled everything through anger. I took it out on my mom, sometimes my sister. I was just really, really angry. When they got married, we moved to Pennsylvania, where his family was. And about 3 years after there, he passed away. He had epilepsy and he had a seizure, and it caused him to pass away. And I got even angrier. I was like, why does this keep happening to us? Why is all this bad stuff happening to us? We haven't done anything. We moved back to Vidalia, and we still weren't following God at all. I went through a patch where I was drinking a lot. I was in high school at this time. Experimented with some drugs. I became an alcoholic at the age of 17. I'm not even legal to drink yet, and I'm drinking all the time. My sister was going through a rough patch. My mom was going through a rough patch, and it was not good for us at all. When my mom met Matt, they dated. They were both down the wrong path still. But when they got married, they started getting into church. Around this time, I met Heath. We were both partying, drinking, doing everything. My mom and Matt started going to church, and I started watching them. I'd be in my bedroom, they'd be doing their Bible studies, and every now and then I would go to church with them on Sundays, and I started getting curious. I was still kind of angry with God because he had put us through so much, but I started getting curious about what he was about, and I wanted to know more. My papa was preaching at Springfield, so I started going there regularly. I was bringing Heath with me, and we started going through and going to church, and we weren't still living like we should. We were just kind of going to church, and that was it. But the more I watched my mom changed a lot, and the more I watched her, the more it made me want to change and start studying in my Bible.
Well, when I was young, my family really wasn't in church at all. I had like other family members, like, cousins, uncles, and they were in church, so I would go to church sometimes with them, and I was kind of into church a good bit with them. Would go Sundays and Wednesdays, Sunday nights, would be in plays and stuff at the church. I kind of started falling out once I got older, got into probably I'd have to say like, high school years. Fell out of it and began drinking a very good bit, a decent amount, I would say. I was drinking every day. Was working and drinking pretty much. That's what I lived for. Work to make the money to buy the alcohol, and that's where I was at. So I kind of got tired of my life around Vidalia, so I moved off about probably 3 or 4 months, and something told me I wanted to go back home. Something made me want to go back home. I was tired of Texas, so I come back home, and of course, I get home and I, reunite with some of my buddies, and of course we're at the bar drinking. And this is when I finally run into Kelsey. No. So I was over at Rhonda's a lot. They became family. They were in church, and I was watching along with Kelsey. So Kelsey was the one that talked me into it. It was like, hey, you want to go to church? And I was like, yeah, that'd be fine. Let's do it. So that's when we started getting into Springfield. And
so we decided to get married. Once we decided to get married, we started really jumping into the Bible, our Christian walk with God. We wanted a family, so we decided to start trying. In December of 2015, we found out I was pregnant with our first kid. Around 6 weeks, complications started happening. We went to the ER to find out that I was miscarrying. We went through a lot of why.
Kind of frustration, anger.
We were trying for a while, and for the first few months, we were getting really, really frustrated. Why can't we get pregnant? What was going on? We really want to start a family. About 6 months after the miscarriage, we found out I was pregnant with Coleman. I started going through complications again. We went to the ER. We thought I was miscarrying, but it turns out I wasn't. It wasn't anything that we thought of. So we prayed a lot. A lot of people were praying for him. And the farther along I got in pregnancy, the more I was like, we've got to make sure that he is raised in a Christian household. We've got to make sure. So we really jumped into our Bible and praying and praying and praying. We just went through a lot of complications. We thought I was diabetic. I had to do 2 tests. We thought I was getting diabetic, but I didn't. So it's just a lot of complications, and we felt like the devil was coming at us every which way with him. We were at a meeting at church, and God had been laying on my heart, something needs to be done with the kids. Something needs to be done with the kids. Something needs to be done with the kids. So we talked to Danny and everyone, and we started the children's ministry, and I love it. I've loved working with the kids. I don't know. I just feel like I'm rambling.
Yeah, it's been definitely an adventure ever since we started the children's ministry. Coming from two young adults, and then you're jumping into kids that ranges in age from like 4 or 5 up to 11, 12 years old, and like you're having fun, and you're getting to see these kids grow up in Jesus and learning about Jesus. And that's just where I've been at. It's been a blessing to go from where I was at back in my old lifestyle to like, if back then when I was like 17, 18, and somebody would have came up to me and been like, look, you're going to be in a children's ministry when you're 25, I'd have laughed and be like, that's hilarious, but you must have the wrong guy. But to see where I've come from, and just my heathen days, and just all I lived for was partying and having fun, and never really wanted to get married, never wanted to have kids. I thought all that was just far-fetched, and all I really wanted to do was go out and make a lot of money, have the greatest single life there was, and everything turns around. You kind of all the I want to do this, I want to have this, I want to do all this, all that kind of goes to the back burner. And I think this is with the children's ministry, I think this is where Jesus has brought us, and it's kind of surreal to look at where he's brought us from, and I just think he's got so much more in store for us. And
Because you ended it. You ended it. We can't both end it. Sorry. Sorry.